I would like to talk about a book today, which is called Peace from Within by Ajahn Kalyano. And he is basically the abbot of a monastery which I stayed in called Bodhivana Monastery in East Warburton in the state of Victoria, a bit of a drive away from the city of Melbourne. So I did have the privilege of speaking with him once or twice while I was at the monastery, and I also got to listen to some of his talks, and I was very impressed by his depth of knowledge and also his scope of knowledge in terms of Buddhist practices. So basically, Ajahn Kalyano, he was born in the early 60s in London, UK, and he developed a great interest in Buddhism. So Ajahn Kalyano basically began with a fairly strong background in psychology, but despite his education, he sensed that there was something missing, a deeper connection or deeper understanding of the human condition. And he realized that psychological models could only go so far. So he sought to understanding suffering, but also the end to suffering. And this realization drew him closer towards Buddhist teachings, especially those which focused on the mind and ethics and also inner peace. This basically compelled him to travel to Thailand to kind of gain some clarity and depth of the Buddha's teachings. Buddhism is deeply rooted in Thailand, and for this reason he decided to head there. And he encountered something known as Theravāda Buddhism, which is essentially it's the Thai forest tradition, and this basically emphasizes solitary forest practice, a strong discipline which is called Vinaya, and also direct experiential meditation. So Ajahn Kalyano basically was invited to return to the West after living a while in Thailand, and in this book he kind of talks about many of his experiences in Thailand. Also as a monk, how he developed his practice. It goes quite in depth. And also when he was invited to return to the West to support a growing interest in Theravāda Buddhism, he was actually one of the people that helped to establish Bodhivana Buddhist Monastery in Victoria, Australia, which is where he serves as the abbot. He kind of teaches lay people and monastics alike, sharing the Dhamma in English, in a psychologically insightful way. And he also talks about how he learnt the Thai language and how that also opened doors for him in terms of not only understanding the intersectionality between culture and the Buddhism, but also in understanding the Thai approach to Buddhism. So what were some lessons from the book? The first is that peace is from within. Ajahn Kalyano basically believes that peace is not something that's found outside of us. It's not something that's found in some external situation or circumstance. We can't wait for it to happen. It's not about waiting for the perfect conditions or living a stress-free life. On the contrary, real peace comes from within, and it's basically from how we see, understand, and let go of attachments. It comes from letting go. We spend much of our energy trying to control everything, our future, people, our emotions, but Ajahn reminds us that peace begins when we stop fighting with reality, when we stop pushing with what is, and we stop trying to pull and push, and then it becomes like a battle with circumstance. He says that the more we let go, the lighter the heart becomes. This, I think, is kind of in line with teachings from Eckhart Tolle, who kind of emphasizes the importance of practicing presence and being at peace with what is. He also uses, similar to what Eckhart Tolle says, he kind of emphasizes mindfulness as the anchor. It means that peace doesn't mean that our minds stop thinking necessarily, but instead, with mindfulness, we can observe thoughts without getting swept away with them. Whether it's anxiety, fear, sadness, doubt, anger, we learn to watch rather than react. This is obviously something that's difficult, but he emphasizes that this comes with greater practice and greater understanding of the mind. Something else that's very thought-provoking that he shared is that suffering is not the enemy. We're taught to avoid pain, to run away from pain, but Ajahn Kalyano says that it encourages us to understand ourselves better. Suffering can be a great teacher. It shows us where we cling, where we resist, things that we may still be holding on to. So Ajahn Kalyano actually encourages us to face suffering because it can be one of our greatest teachers. Ajahn Kalyano also talks about how meditation is home for the heart. When we return to the breath, when we return to the present moment, we come home. And that home is basically that peace from within. Obviously, I'm simplifying it here, but in this book, he kind of talks about how there were great teachings that came about from meditation. There were great teachings that came about from his solace, and there were great lessons that he learned as he developed mindfulness. As he understood the mind better, he was able to better come closer to suffering and learn more about its essence. So what does peace from within mean? Basically, it means turning inwards and being present. It means that trusting that underneath all of the noise, all of the mental chatter, your mind is already peaceful. He talks about kind of understanding the mental defilements. You don't need to create peace, you just have to uncover it beneath those mental defilements. And the more you kind of come to contact with that stillness, the more you'll understand that peace is from within. The great thing about this book is that it talked about his very early childhood and what led him down the path of wanting to find something deeper, wanting to understand the essence of life, not on a superficial level, what got him really to the essence of Buddhism, what inspired him to take the path of a monastic life, which is a very, very big lifelong commitment. It's a very big sacrifice that people make. And his journey along the path, going to different countries, getting a culture shock, then reverse culture shock, going back to the West, learning Thai from scratch. All of this was uncovered in his book. And he talks about it, it's an autobiography, so he talks about it from first-person perspective. As I said, I had the opportunity to speak with him a couple times, and I was just taken aback by his insight, his depth of intelligence, and his coherence, and his ability to spread the teachings of the Buddha in an insightful, coherent, and compendious manner. And if you want to know more about him, you can see the monastery's website. If you visit the monastery, this book is also available for a donation, I believe. And yeah, if you want to learn more about Buddhism, one of the best things you can do is actually pick up a book, or maybe even spend a couple nights there as a layperson to spend time with the monks and kind of learn as a layperson what Buddhism entails, what its practices entail. What I shared, obviously, unfortunately, will not do justice to the book itself. I think you can only understand the book properly if you read it, but I hope this gives a little bit of insight about what it has to share. Thanks so much, and I'll cut you run. Bye.